By the 4th century A.D., the grand empires of India had receded into the annals of history, their once mighty presence now echoed only in fading traditions and monuments scattered across a fragmented landscape of petty kingdoms. Amidst this era of waning glory, the modest dominion of the Gupta dynasty began to assert itself under the reign of King Chandragupta, whose son, the illustrious Emperor Samudragupta, ascended to the throne with pride etched into every battle scar he bore. Under Samudragupta's visionary leadership, the forges of his realm blazed incessantly, churning out weapons and armor to equip his armies. War elephants stood majestic and formidable, an indomitable force that had struck fear into the hearts of adversaries for generations. It was said that in ages past, even the mighty Alexander the Great had hesitated at the prospect of confronting the vast armies of India, ultimately choosing to turn back rather than face certain defeat. The legacy of empires past, such as the Mauryan Empire, had faded into distant memory, leaving behind a void waiting to be filled by a new conqueror. Samudragupta seized this opportunity with unwavering resolve, rallying his forces to march against the neighboring realms. With swift and decisive action, he vanquished 9 kings of the Ganges River basin, extending his dominion over their fertile lands. The Gupta Empire's military prowess was complemented by a keen understanding of diplomatic strategy. Bordering regions, recognizing the might of Samudragupta's army, preemptively submitted as tributary states, thereby avoiding the ravages of war. Meanwhile, the empire's military structure evolved, drawing inspiration from the fierce nomadic tribes to the northwest who excelled in mounted archery. As Samudragupta's conquest expanded, his gaze turned towards the eastern coast, adorned with bustling trade ports and rich cultural heritage. Guided by the divine hand of Vishnu, the benevolent Hindu deity revered by the Gupta dynasty, the emperor led his forces through dense forests on a mission that seemed ordained by destiny. Despite the ferocity of battle, the Gupta armies displayed a remarkable sense of mercy and magnanimity. After defeating 12 kings on his southern campaign, Samudragupta restored them to their thrones on the condition of their submission to Gupta authority. This act of clemency earned him praise as an invincible yet noble conqueror. In the vast expanse of the Gupta Empire, from the sun-drenched shores of the southeastern coastline to the majestic foothills of the Himalayas, Samudragupta's rule was unparalleled. Rulers from distant lands paid homage to him, offering tokens of tribute and even their daughters in marriage, a testament to the far-reaching influence and power he wielded over his realm. The Gupta Empire, under Samudragupta's astute leadership, stood as a formidable force, its dominion stretching far and wide across the Indian subcontinent. From the bustling trade ports along the eastern coast to the revered Himalayan peaks, Gupta's overlordship knew no bounds, cementing his legacy as one of the greatest rulers of his time. Yet, it was not merely through conquest and military might that Samudragupta solidified his authority. He also undertook the ancient Esfanda ritual, a symbolic gesture of his divine right to rule. For a year, a noble horse roamed freely across the empire, accompanied by a retinue of the king's bravest warriors. Any ruler daring to contest Gupta's authority could attempt to ambush the man and capture the sacred horse. However, none dared to challenge the might of Gupta's warriors, and upon the safe return of the horse, Samudragupta was hailed as the undisputed king over all the lands he claimed. The legacy of the Gupta dynasty endured beyond Samudragupta's reign, carried forward by his son, Chandragupta II. Under his rule, the empire expanded further, reaching the western coast where bustling trade routes connected India to distant lands. Merchants from far-flung civilizations ventured to Gupta's shores, exchanging goods and ideas that had traversed continents. The Gupta Empire emerged as a melting pot of cultures and civilizations where philosophies, musings, and goods flowed freely between East and West. Indian artisans, renowned for their craftsmanship, found admiration across the ancient world, while the innovative use of zero as a placeholder within the decimal place value system revolutionized mathematics and enabled increasingly complex calculations. Amidst the flourishing trade and intellectual exchange, the Gupta Empire stood as a beacon of stability and safety for its people. Magnificent monuments dotted the landscape, towering overhead as symbols of the empire's grandeur, while great thinkers emerged from the universities and centers of learning, contributing to the advancement of knowledge and understanding. In the intricate tapestry of the mid-5th century, the Gupta Empire found itself ensnared in a web of escalating conflicts and shifting social dynamics. As nomadic tribes grew bolder in their incursions into imperial territories, the Gupta rulers faced the daunting task of safeguarding their realm against these relentless aggressors. Leading the charge against these encroaching threats was Chandragupta, a stalwart scion of the Gupta dynasty whose valor and leadership were to become the stuff of legend. The expansion of the Gupta Empire brought with it profound changes to the social order, as vast swathes of conquered lands were allocated to the influential Brahmana class, thereby altering the power dynamics within Indian society. The once flexible Varna system, delineating the four social classes as outlined in ancient Hindu scriptures, began to solidify, entrenching itself as a rigid hierarchy that governed the lives of millions. However, amidst the stratification of society, pockets of unrest simmered, with the lower order peasants bearing the brunt of societal inequities, while the emergence of the untouchables further underscored the deep-seated divisions within Gupta society. Against this backdrop of social upheaval, the Gupta emperor sought to maintain a delicate balance of religious tolerance, embracing not only the tenets of Hinduism but also extending a welcoming embrace to Jainism and Buddhism. Yet, this religious harmony would be shattered by the thunderous hoofbeats of the Alkan Huns, whose inexorable advance would plunge the Gupta Empire into a maelstrom of chaos and devastation. Led by the enigmatic figure of Meherikula, the Alkan Huns descended upon the land like a tempest, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. With his diadem-adorned skull and fierce countenance, Meherikula symbolized the Hunnic onslaught, a force of nature that brooked no opposition. As cities burned and innocents perished, the Gupta Empire trembled under the weight of this ferocious onslaught, its very foundations shaken to the core. However, amidst the chaos and despair, a glimmer of hope emerged as regional powers rallied to confront the Hunnic menace. Led by the indomitable Yashodharman of the Alakara dynasty, a coalition of kings stood ready to defend their lands against the tide of Hunnic aggression. In the crucible of war, alliances were forged and destinies intertwined, as the fate of the Indian subcontinent hung in the balance. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the clash between the Huns and the forces of Yashodharman reached its climax. The air resonated with the thunderous roar of war elephants and the clash of steel as Indian troops surged forward, their determination unyielding in the face of adversity. The Huns, famed for their prowess in mounted archery, buried their foes in a hail of arrows, but the resolute Indian warriors pressed on, undeterred by the storm of missiles. In the midst of the chaos, King Meherikula, accustomed to unchallenged dominance, found himself confronted by the unwavering resolve of Yashodharman. With a painful twist of fate, Meherikula, who had never bowed in humility to anyone save Shiva, was compelled to lower his head in deference to the victorious Yashodharman. The defeat of the Huns marked a turning point in the balance of power, signaling the decline of Gupta authority and the rise of regional kings who would shape the future of the Indian subcontinent. Though the twilight of the Gupta Empire had begun to cast its long shadow, the legacy of its achievements endured far beyond its waning days. The Gupta period witnessed remarkable advancements in mathematics and astronomy, whose ripple effects would eventually reach distant shores, enriching the intellectual landscape of the Islamic world and Europe alike. Temples and ruins scattered across the Indian subcontinent bore silent testament to the rich tapestry of Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist traditions that had flourished under Gupta patronage, their sacred monuments standing as silent sentinels to a bygone era of splendor. Amidst the ruins and relics of a bygone age, the artistry of the Gupta period remained a beacon of enduring prosperity, reflecting the patronage of elites and the flourishing of artistic expression. Today, the exquisite works of Gupta artists serve not only as a testament to the empire's cultural legacy but also as a potent tool for preserving wealth, their intrinsic value transcending the bounds of time and space to inspire awe and admiration for generations to come.